Everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our Avalara webinar. My name is Amber Merritt, and I'm a business development representative here at KES. We are excited to welcome everyone and are happy to see such a great mix of existing KES clients and many people that are new to KES. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I would like to turn this over to Glenn Hoffman, our Managing Director, to get things rolling.
Excellent. Thank you, Amber. And let me also welcome everybody as well. We're excited about this presentation today and really happy that Avalara is going to be able to show you their product. I'm looking at the attendees. I see there's a number of people I know. Welcome. Always great to have you join. And there's a few people that I haven't seen before, so welcome to you as well. For those people that are new to KES, just a quick little bit about us. We are a NetSuite solution provider, have been doing this for a very long time. As a company, we've been around for almost 30 years now. We've been a NetSuite solution provider for over 10 years. The big thing with us is we're a full solution provider. So not only do we deploy NetSuite and support it, we also make sure that you have a fully comprehensive solution. And part of that is working with some of the best partners that NetSuite has and the products they offer. And that's what we'll be talking about today. So let me just kind of set the stage a little bit. NetSuite partners have built a number of add-ons for NetSuite. So although NetSuite is a great ERP solution, we think it is easily the best mid-market ERP solution. That's why it's the only solution we offer. There are still areas where partner can bring more advanced solutions than what NetSuite has out of the box. And since NetSuite is such a modern, open cloud architecture, it's really a place that partners can develop really tight integrations and actually insert functionality inside of NetSuite. We do that with something that NetSuite calls Suite Apps, and we're a big believer in that. We've developed some of our own Suite Apps. Suite Apps, the nice thing with that, it's a really rigorous program that Oracle has put together that makes sure that anytime partners are building solutions, adding functionality inside of NetSuite, that it follows all the standards that NetSuite has, and it gets recertified with each NetSuite release. So you can be sure that these solutions that are being added will continue to work. You won't get any type of version lock or anything like that, and they just become part of your NetSuite solution. The NetSuite ecosystem of partner integrated solutions is really strong with some of the best partners in the world building out solutions for NetSuite. So today, specifically, we're going to talk about sales tax management inside of NetSuite. NetSuite does have a standard sales tax management solution out of the box, right? And if you just have basic requirements for sales tax, maybe you're just selling widgets and you have Nexus in a couple of states and it's pretty straightforward, standard NetSuite sales tax works just fine. However, if you move outside of that basic, NetSuite can become very challenging. And this, we see that with a lot of our customers who are selling, say, SaaS solutions across the entire country. And so they have economic nexus in many different states. And now sales tax calculations can be much more complex, right? Even businesses across the street from each other can have sales tax calculated differently. This goes way beyond what standard NetSuite can do. Also, if you start having to file in many, many states, trying to do that, running your own reports out of NetSuite, doing manual filing can be really ugly. If you deal with a lot of tax exempt customers, manage those exempt certs can be really tough. And putting that all together, that's why having a great integrated sales tax solution from a company like Avalara really comes into play. Avalara, we've been working with them for many years. We have a large number of our clients using Avalara. They love the product. They love the company, and so we were super excited to be able to have Avalara present to you today. And Ryan from their team has agreed to show this to you. So with that said, you're not here to listen to me, you're here to see Avalara. So Ryan, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to you and let you take it away.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Glenn. Like he mentioned, my name is Ryan Brecky. I've been working with Avalara for about 2.5 years now. Specifically with companies that are either on NetSuite, moving to NetSuite, or considering NetSuite. So I'm very familiar with the NetSuite ecosystem, how Avalara works within NetSuite itself. It's a great solution, and we actually support around 92% of NetSuite customers who have elected to outsource this part of their business. So Really just a couple things that I wanted to talk about through a quick agenda. Who is Avalara? Glenn gave us a little bit of an intro, so I won't spend too much more time on that. Why sales tax compliance is important, and then dig a little bit into the difference between SuiteTax and what we call AvaTax, our tax determination engine, and then jump into a quick demo. So keep it pretty high level, not wanting to get into too many details. We can always schedule some time one-on-one after the call to dig into your specific use cases if there's a need to do that. So a little bit more about Avalara. We've been in business since 2004, almost 20 years. Started in the cloud, have grown in the cloud, so it's a very scalable solution. 4,800 employees worldwide, and our three core solutions, our tax calculation engine, our document management solution, and our returns filing are best in the industry. We had almost 40 billion APA calls through our tax engine in 2022. So scalability is not something that you should be concerned with by partnering with Avalara. Over 30 million tax documents that we have under management. So think exemption certificates, resale certificates, things like that, fully integrated into NetSuite. So that's a part of the tax determination process to add sales tax to an order if it's applicable. Next, we filed over 5 million sales and use tax returns in 2022, electronic returns, physical returns, along with remitting the payments to the various jurisdictions. We handle all of that as part of our solution, and I'll show you that a little bit later on how that would work, but it's a very seamless process. When most people think of Avalara, they think about us right here on the calculation side. So sales and use tax, VAT, GST for the international transactions, and we absolutely do that. That's our bread and butter, what everyone knows us for. But before we can really make accurate tax calculations, there's a couple things that we need to do beforehand. So when we get to that point, we have all the appropriate information. First, kind of starting left to right, going business licenses and permits to operate your business as a whole. So we can help get those licenses, make sure they're correct, get those remitted, and help renew those as they come up for renewal. And then obviously Avalara is known for the tax side, so getting companies registered with the various jurisdictions once they've crossed the thresholds, whether that's domestically or internationally with those VAT registrations. The next step over here in the insights, column number 2, researching your products and services, understanding the taxability of them. So if you have customers come to you and say, hey Glenn, I bought this from you, I'm pretty sure it's not taxable, why are you charging me tax? You have a resource to rely on to comfortably answer that question and understand why something is or is not taxable. Next, the next two, the tax code and the HS code classifications, really important. So our tax engine understands what exactly you're selling so we can tax it appropriately. Things like software in Texas are taxed at 80% of the normal rate. New York apparel under $110 is not taxable. If it's over, it is. So little nuances like that are really important to understand because things can be taxed differently depending upon where your customer is at. The HS codes classification, so if you're selling internationally, shipping goods across a border, that's where the customs and duties, tariffs, things like that come into play. So getting those items appropriately classified will make sure you're not overpaying on those customs and duties. Lastly, in this column, if you have concerns over where you need to be registered to collect sales tax, we have risk assessments that are available. Next is the document. So the customer exemptions for any customers that you have that are exempt from paying sales tax, you need to get those exemption certificates from them. So under audit, you have those documentations to defend yourself on why you did not charge sales tax on a particular order. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. And then the calculations will fully integrate into NetSuite. All orders will run through there. We'll make appropriate tax determination based off of a couple other factors that we mentioned before and some others. And then finally, the reporting and for the returns, all the data will flow through our engine, so you'll have everything you need to easily report on it. And then, as Glenn mentioned earlier on, we'll be able to file those sales and use tax returns on your behalf and remit the payment. Suite tax really just kind of falls under this category here under calculations. Even if the customer wants to use suite tax, which by all means they still can, there are things that need to be done beforehand and then some things that need to be done afterwards. So Avalara is a great partner, even if you decide that suite tax is sufficient for what you're looking for. Don't want to spend too much time on this, but 13,000 sales tax jurisdictions within the US alone. Here in Greenwood Village, Colorado, you and I could be next door neighbors paying different tax rates. So relying on the zip codes alone are not accurate enough. They were intended for USPS delivering mail, not for sales tax. So Avalara relies on the latitude and longitude of where exactly a product is getting shipped to, not necessarily the zip code. So you get a much more accurate determination. A lot of steps that go into that determination process. Not going to go into all of them, but one of them that I want to touch on is the exemption certificate. And exemption certificates from a high level, certificates that an exempt organization or individual gives to the seller for making a tax-exempt purchase. So every state's certificate is a little bit different for various types of businesses, reason for exemption. Some states, they expire at the end of each calendar year, at the end of every 12 months, 24 months. Kind of bottom line, every state is a little bit different, and it's next to impossible to manage these correctly by using an Excel spreadsheet or leveraging what's available in just standard NetSuite. So what a lot of our customers, what they were doing before they came to Avalara is they were just adding in an exemption certificate number for a particular customer, which may work if they're in a state like California where certificates don't expire and they only sell into California. So any certificate would only be for a California transaction. But if you're selling nationwide, there's a good chance that you're going to be getting exemption certificates from various customers for different states. So in this example, we don't know when this certificate is expiring. We don't know what the exemption is actually being applied to and what state the exemption is applying to. So you could have a California transaction running through NetSuite referencing a Texas certificate. Not the best way to be compliant. It messes with reporting and it doesn't hold up under audit. So one of the things that we can help with, and it's easier to show it kind of in a presentation depth like this, but I'll show you also in NetSuite. We would be able to add in these buttons here for our exemption certificate solution. So you could easily go in and request an exemption certificate for a particular customer. An email like this would go out to the particular customer with your company logo. We'll pull the address from NetSuite, basically saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, please use this link and this username, these username and passwords to fill out your exemption certificate electronically. Once they do that, they go through this kind of wizard-driven process of, you know what, I'm in California, I'm a reseller. Our system is smart enough to know that this is the certificate that they need to fill out, and these are the questions that need to be answered. It's really important that this is done complete and accurately, because if not, our system will reject it. And once those fields get added and updated, the next step is to digitally sign. From there, there's a couple options that are available. You could have these certificates be automatically approved. Your team could go through each one by one and review them, make sure they filled out the right form, the tax ID number is correct at the state website, they didn't sign it as Mickey Mouse, it's a legitimate certificate. Or third option, our team could handle that. So very important that we get those certificates, get them validated in the system. So when we go through that tax determination process, we reference a valid certificate that is on file so no tax gets added to the transaction. Last slide before we jump over to the demo, just a quick comparison between Suite Tax and Avalara's AvaTax. So validation, address validation, latitude and longitude, as opposed to just a general zip code, which we talked about are not accurate a little bit earlier. Complex tax rules and taxability. The software in Texas taxed at 80%. Apparel, that's over $110 in New York. NetSuite, Sweet Tax just doesn't pick up on those types of things. So you could be incorrectly overcharging or undercharging your customers' sales tax. If you do any use tax accruals, we can help with that in NetSuite. Typically, it's not a huge need, but it is something that we can help with. Fully automate the returns filing process, the exemption certificate management, and most importantly for some customers, Avalara can be that single source of truth between not only NetSuite, but all your other sources of revenue and generating invoices. So maybe you have an e-commerce shopping cart like a Shopify or a Magento, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, one of those. You have a recurring billing system that you do monthly subscriptions on. You do some wholesale orders through NetSuite, and you have another system that you built in-house. It's really important to have all those systems connected into Avalara, so there's no discrepancy between systems. So you rely on native BigCommerce and native NetSuite, you may be getting two different tax rates, so the reconciliations can be really, really challenging to stay on top of. So those are kind of just some quick comparisons between the two. What I'd like to do now is jump over to a demo. So this is obviously NetSuite, should look very familiar to everyone on the call. Easiest way to get Avalara downloaded into NetSuite, you come over here to Suite Apps, download us just like you've probably downloaded many other Suite apps within NetSuite. Go through kind of a basic configuration, set up your settings, things like that. Very straightforward process. But what I'll do now, just again to kind of keep everything high level for today, is go through how we create an invoice and how Avalara works. So we can get connected into all versions of NetSuite, and regardless of where you create your sales order, your invoice, cash sale, it doesn't really matter. I'll just create an invoice here because that's what I found the easiest way for us to kind of show how everything works. So I'll come in here and I'll type in our test customer, Aaron Hill Testing, and then I'll scroll down and start adding some products and services. So we're going to say, for example, we're going to sell some software. We're going to sell some kind of a cable, and then we'll sell some training for the software that we're selling. So add those three items, and you'll see up here at the top, should look pretty normal. Subtotal $6,006.95. A little bit further down here under the items under the tax code right here, you'll see AvaTax is listed for each of these three different line items. And what that essentially is doing is overriding what NetSuite's native functionality is, and it's telling us, hey, for each of these individual line items, reach out to Avalara and have them make the tax determination. And we're going to be looking at all sorts of those factors that we mentioned earlier, ship to, ship from, exemption status, nexus status, what exactly it is that we're selling, so we can make the appropriate tax determination. Right now, the tax on here is $60.42 because we have this as set to a ship to in Atlanta, Georgia. Well, in Atlanta, software is not taxable, so that's why the tax seems really, really low. If we come down here to, let's say Tennessee, it's going to jump up pretty significantly to $523. Then we'll go back over here to Texas, updates again. So everything is updating in real time, less than, I think it's like 3 or 4 tenths of a second. That API call is going out to Avalara and returning everything in real time. So I will save this transaction, and then by saving it, you're committing the invoice, and the data is then getting pushed to the Avalara engine for reporting and returns filing. So let's see, once we get NetSuite here to save this transaction, we'll come down here and see, hey, you know what, the rate is 8.25% for these products going to the ship to address. If I want to get a little bit more clarity into how this is actually broken down, I can come over here to the AvaTax tab and open up this hyperlink here. A new tab will open, and you'll see these are the 3 different items that we sold: the software, the cable, and the training, and the associated Avalara tax codes. And these are really important because we have about 3,000 different tax codes to help you classify your products and services so they get taxed appropriately. We kind of have a wizard-driven process here where you can click in and narrow down what it is exactly that you're selling and have that specific tax code that you link to your item master list in NetSuite. So when you add those items in, this data automatically pulls. Coming back over here, you can see the software that we sold was $5,000, but 1,000 of it is exempt, 4,000 of it is taxable. And that's what it goes back to what I was saying earlier about software is taxed at 80% of whatever the normal rate is. So tax got applied on $4,000 at the 8.25%, broken down through these 3 jurisdictions: the Texas state, the Houston city, and it looks like Houston has a special tax for a transit authority. So 6 1/4, 1 and 1 together makes up that 8.25. Again, same type of thing with the cable, same type of thing with the training. And this level of detail is really, really important because on some state returns, they want you to break it out of how much tax is coming to the state, how much is going to the city, how much is going to the local transit authority, or whatever other crazy jurisdictions that have been created for where you're shipping your products or services to. So we break all this down, include it in the service. This here is really just for visibility on your end. All this data is then going to come over to the Avalara dashboard, which you're seeing here. And not only are transactions from NetSuite coming in, but any other system, the Shopify, Magento, BigCommerce, other systems, all that transactional data is coming in here for returns filing and for you to report on it. But before we get there, your eye probably naturally gravitated to the map of the United States here. And this is an economic nexus threshold for remote sellers, kind of a heat map. So click in here and it'll give you kind of a quick visual of where you may have, where you have economic nexus. Any state in gray, you're either already registered or you're 0 to 80% of whatever that threshold is. Really nothing to be concerned with at this time. If there was a state in yellow, that would be your signal that you're 80 to 100% of whatever that state's threshold is. And if it's showing up orange, hey, you've crossed the threshold, you really should get registered. Come down here, click on this link, and the Avalara team will help you get registered in that particular state. So I mentioned all the data is going to be coming in from the various systems. And then if we want to take a look at the returns part, what this is doing is it's pulling in all of that data, like I mentioned, and giving you a quick visual of all of the month's returns that need to be filed. For in this example, there's 25 with the total liability of $21,697. So you could go through each one by one and say, you know, in Alabama, these are the 2 returns that we need to file. Maybe it's a state and a local one. The total sales, how much was calculated, and the amount due. Everything looks good. You can hit the approve button and move on to the next state. The other option is you can just come up here to the top and hit this approve all button and approve all the returns, which is your way of telling us that, hey, things look good. Go ahead and begin processing everything that needs to be done to get these returns filed. So between the 1st and the 5th, the Avalara team is going to be creating these liability worksheets and reports. So we would ask that you, as the customer, would come in between the 5th and the 10th, review the liabilities and approve them. By 5 p.m. on the 10th, we're going to auto approve these returns so we can make sure we have enough time to get them filed and the payments remitted to get them filed on time. And then also take advantage of any early filing discounts or credits things like that that may be available by the states. And then if those are able to be captured, we'll apply those savings to your following month's return. So it's money you keep, it's not money Avalara will keep on your behalf. And then starting on the 11th, we're going to withdraw these funds from whatever account you guys have identified. We'll do that one lump sum each month, and then immediately start filing the returns and remitting the payments, whether it's a physical check, an electronic payment, physical return, electronic return that needs to be submitted, whatever the state is requiring, our team will be able to help out with. And by the 31st of each month, the end of the last day of the month, all the returns are going to be filed, the payments are going to be made, and then you can come up here and see the filed returns and those confirmations. So that's about the returns. We have 60-ish pre-built reports, but it's very easy to say slice and dice the data to see what exactly you're looking for certain time periods. Maybe you have multiple entities that are under NetSuite and you only want to look at one of them for certain time periods, certain types of sales, whatever data that you need, you will be able to get that through a reporting engine. Lastly, on the exemptions piece, because I talked a little bit about that earlier, this is the exemption dashboard that would be available to you if you needed to have exemption certificate management with us. Gives you a quick visual on, hey, we're expecting 1,034 certificates, but we only have 764 of them, so we need to go out and get the other ones. We got a couple that are invalid, some of them are expired, so we need to get new ones, and then we just need to get 26 from customers who don't have any at all. So a quick visual there, some tasks that you can look at for certificates that are incoming that need to be reviewed, certificates that are expiring within 30 days. So you maybe want to be proactive to getting new certificates instead of being reactive. This is something your team can handle. This is something that you can outsource to the Avalara team, but completely up to you. From a very high level, this is kind of what the Avalara solution will look like, not only within NetSuite, but the dashboard that would be available to you as an Avalara customer. So, Glenn, I think at this point, I'll turn it back over to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Ryan. That was great. And some really good information, hopefully resonates with some of the people on the call. Yeah, did agree. Wanted to open it up. Amber, do you see any questions in the chat area that we can answer?
Yes, we do have a few questions. The first one is if the exemption certificate expires.
Sure. Yeah, we have a whole separate team that work with companies that need to calculate, remit excise tax. So absolutely something we can help with. It's not an area that I specifically am fully immersed in, but I do know we have a really great solution that, just like with regular sales and use tax, will connect into NetSuite.
Perfect, thank you. The other two questions that we have is, if I have a specific sales tax question, does Avalara have resources to answer them?
Yeah, great question. So about 2 years ago, we acquired a company that was called TTR. They were kind of known in the industry as the Google of sales tax, where it's a very comprehensive resource that's available to customers to do a little bit of self-service and research on their own. But we also have the ability within that resource to ask specific tax questions to our team of tax attorneys, CPAs that we have on staff at Avalara. So unlike most people, when they have sales tax questions, they'll do a quick Google search or Reddit, or in some situations, they will reach out to a CPA firm and pay a couple $100 an hour for them to research that one particular question, wait a couple weeks for an answer. With our solution, we're able to offer a 48-hour turnaround time and provide a very detailed response on yet why something is or is not taxable in plain language that you can understand, a hyperlink to the state website defending why we are saying, yes, it is taxable, no, it's not. All that can be back to you within 48 hours, unlimited number of questions, and you're actually able to take that screenshot and send it to your customer via email. So, like I mentioned earlier, if Glenn reaches out to me and says, hey, Ryan, I bought this from you. I'm pretty sure it's not taxable, but you're charging me tax. You can ask our tax team, hey, why is this why it is? And then take that screenshot, send it off to Glenn, and be comfortable with the response that you've given them. So really great resource. It's something that I would say about 40% of our customers are leveraging. It's a really great tool. So if anyone is interested in learning more about that, let us know and we can set up some time to talk through that some more. But great question.
Wonderful. And then we have just one last question. Is it better to implement Avalara services during our NetSuite implementation or after we have gone live?
Yeah, another great question. So most of the time, it makes sense to do the implementation at the same time as your NetSuite implementation. You kind of have that mindset of going through setting up a system. A lot of the same resources can be applied for the Avalara implementation as well as the NetSuite. But maybe most importantly, when you go live with NetSuite, you want to be able to go live with Avalara at the same time. So there's no real discrepancies between NetSuite and Avalara later down the road, because you're obviously doing something today. If you move to NetSuite and you use a native NetSuite for a month or two, and then you move to Avalara, it's just a lot of moving parts. So almost always, I would say customers are adding Avalara in about 90 days before their NetSuite go live, which is enough time to do that Nexus study if they need to, get registered in the states, get their exemption certificates in order, validated into the system as well, set up which states they need to file and remit their sales tax in, identify their products and services. So there's a good amount of work that needs to be done. And then you obviously need to do testing just like you're doing testing in NetSuite today. So allocating enough time for that. So come that NetSuite go live date, you can flip the switch on NetSuite at the same time as Avalara and won't have to worry about those reconciliations moving forward. So another really good question. If you're already on NetSuite, by all means, we can still add Avalara in and then maybe get you to kind of go live with us on the first of the month or the first of a quarter, just to make it easier on having that line in the sand that we've drawn on, where what you're doing today ends and then where Avalara will pick up from a returns filing perspective.
Yeah, and Ryan, and I'll jump in on that a little bit too from a NetSuite perspective. 100% agree with what you say. When we're implementing NetSuite for new clients and they know they're going to go with Avalara, we incorporate that into our project plan and help guide when to reach out to Avalara, kind of help with the setup on that from the NetSuite side, help with the testing, get that all set. That is ideal, to Ryan's point. That way you're in the mindset, it's going through all the testing just like all the rest of NetSuite's going through testing, and gets you a really clean go live. As Ryan also noted though, if you're already on NetSuite and you realize after the fact that, hey, we need Avalara, there again, Avalara can be brought in after the fact. Work with the Avalara team. We can get involved and help you to get that clean cutover with that. But we see it both ways. Ideally at the same time as you go live, but can be added later. And we just kind of, as a group, work together between you as the client, Avalara, and us as the NetSuite partner, making sure that we get that nice clean cutover, move with Avalara moving forward.
And with the way Avalara is set up from like a sales team perspective and partner alignment, I'm aligned to KES. So anytime you guys have questions about Avalara, everything will run through me. I work with Glenn and Amber and the team very frequently, so we have a good relationship. We work well together, so there's going to be some familiarity there, so it's not like you're going to get thrown to the wolves and have to figure out this all on your own. It's a very cohesive group that will make the transition very, very easy for everyone.
Thank you again, Ryan, for showing this. I think this is really valuable information. Not only is this a great product, but Avalara is just a great service company and really takes care of their clients well. It's one of the reasons we're really excited to partner with them. So that's it. That's what I was hoping to kind of finish on.
Well, thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Glenn, for today's presentation, and thank you all for joining us today. Please reach out to us if you have any remaining questions, and we look forward to seeing you all at our next webinar. Thank you.